It is 7:30. You're tuned in to the Morning Cruise Control on the Friday Eve show. And right now I'm joined on the line by the United States Army Garrison Japan Command Sergeant Major Rosalba Dumont-Carrion, and also United States Forces Japan Command Chief Master Sergeant James Laurent in the studio with me. And good morning, ma'am. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, not a problem. We appreciate you joining us this morning. And also, thank you also, Chief Laurent, for joining us here in the studio.
Absolutely. I'm having a good time. If the outside world could see what you talk about or listen to what you say when their phone mics are off, they would have a really good time as well. So this is just a lot of fun.
All right. What's going on around Zama, ma'am? I know you're talking about an earthquake functional exercise. Can you give some information on it?
The U.S. Army Garrison Japan will be conducting their annual mass casualty earthquake functional exercise on March 12th, and it's going to span across several locations of Camp Zama, the installation itself. The event will start at 8 a.m. and it will run until 12 p.m. There will be various units on Camp Zama that will be participating, and we'll also have the bilateral event in collaboration with local Japanese firefighters. The United States Army Japan Garrison's crisis team also will be conducting the first responders exercise with recovery operations in the event of a major earthquake. So that will include mass casualty, Joint Information Center, and the mass care.
Now, I know, Chief, with you always travel in the Pacific, I'm sure this is stuff like this, exercises like this, are stuff that's always on your radar as well.
It is, and this is really particularly a good one because as I've been traveling a lot lately, I've been watching the news and I get the updates, and we've been having a lot of earthquakes in Japan. And that always is, this whole belt of the around the Pacific is bad, but they've been pumping up a little bit, and I think they're still calling the aftershocks from the major earthquake that they had in 2011. So it's a big thing and something very important for us to do. So I'm glad they're doing that down in Zama.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And ma'am, I'm not real good with all these acronyms, but I understand you have a town hall coming up.
Yes, we do. The United States Army Japan and I-Corps Forward will be conducting a mandatory town hall meeting on March 13th and March 26th at the Camp Zama Community Club for the Department of the Army Civilians. The purpose of these meetings is for the Commanding General, James C. Boozer, to address the civilian workforce and open the floor for questions about issues that are important to the Department of the Army Civilians employees, which includes subordinate and tenant unit personnel. The first one will be on March 13th from 9 to 11 a.m., and the Department of the Army Civilian employees that are GS 11 and below must attend the Commanding General's Town Hall meeting. The next one is on March 26th from 1 to 3 p.m., and the Department of the Army Civilian employees are GS 12 and above, and they must attend the Commanding General's Town Hall meeting. And the Town Hall meeting is a location where employees and community members have the opportunity to express their issues, needs, and concerns with the commanding leaders. Absolutely.
Another great event starting on March 13th. And Chief Laurent, again, with you being over the enlisted forces all here in Japan, is this something else that you talk about as far as with the soldiers?
I haven't had the chance to talk to them about this specifically, but I do know that there's, across all of our services and in the Army as well, there's a lot of changes that are going on, so I think it's very important, and I'm a big fan of General Boozer. He does a great job of leading the soldiers that are in Japan, and so I think this will be a great opportunity for civilians to hear from him and get some feedback and provide feedback to him so he can voice their opinions and the concerns up the chain of command as well.
Absolutely. And Sergeant Major Dumont, now I know March is Women's History Month. What kind of events do you have going on around Zama?
Well, we've got great events. The U.S. Army Japan Band will be hosting a Women's History Month observance on March 19th, starting at 2 p.m. in the Camp Zama Community Activity Center. March is officially recognized annually as a National Women's History Month. Every year, the National Women's History Project selects a unifying theme to be shared with all who want to promote women's history. And this year's theme, which I find is great, is weaving the stories of women's lives.
And, ma'am, I got to say, with you being, Command Sergeant Major there at United States Army Garrison Japan, what does it mean to you for have a month like this designated for women, especially women in the military?
It just kind of showcase what we've already been able to do and give a positive light. Women have done such amazing things in life and in our careers, and just to be part of it, I can't say I'm proud enough. And just also to empower and encourage other young women that you can succeed in whatever you want to do. Set your mind to it, and you can make it.
Chief Laurent, you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I just say there's great examples of sergeant majors like Sergeant Major, great example of women in leadership that really all women can look at and say, hey, you know what, this is a great person that we can look up to and try to emulate their example. And whenever I go out and I talk to my service members about what made me a Chief Master Sergeant, I always point back to Tech Sergeant Cynthia Sullivan when she was a Tech Sergeant and I was a Senior Airman and Staff Sergeant, and how she led me and brought me into the place that I was at that time to develop me into a Chief Master Sergeant 20 years later.
That is phenomenal. And, ma'am, we always talk about the hot topics for the month. We get you guys once a month on the line. What are the hot topics coming up for March?
Well, it's getting warm outside, so spring cleanup time. And we're going to be conducting spring cleanup from March 30th until April 2nd. All units and organizations on Camp Zama will conduct post-cleanup for the spring cleanup session. And it's done annually to display pride and professionalism within our organization. Camp Zama also uses this time to prepare the annual Cherry Blossom Festival, which we're looking forward to. Easter and Lent services have begun. Since February, Camp Zama and Sagamihara Family Housing Area chapels are hosting several Easter and Lent services and events. Community members should go to the Garrison Facebook page and the Commander's Access channel or the weekly email to receive the dates and times for each event. Easter Sunday services will be held on April 5th at the Sagama Family Housing Area Chapel, as well as Camp Zama Chapel. We also got, as I said, the Cherry Blossom, the 2015 Cherry Blossom Festival Fun Run and Walk, and the registration for that will end on March 30th. The entry fee is $20 per person. Community members need to register with their members at the Camp Zama Parent Central Services and adult members at the Yano Fitness Center. The Cherry Blossom Festival Fun Run and Walk will be held on April 4th. That morning, it will be the annual Camp Zama Cherry Blossom Festival thereafter.
All right, this is going to be going down the annual Cherry Blossom Festival at Zama. But just to kind of recap everything, I understand you guys will have the annual Earthquake Functional Exercise on March 12th.
Yes.
And that's going to be in collaboration with Camp Zama and the local Japanese firefighters, as well as a mandatory town hall meeting for DA employees on March 12th and the 26th. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then the Women's History Month, USAG-J will host an observance on March 19th, starting at 2 o'clock at the Camp Zama Activity Center. And then the hot topics, like you said, spring cleaning, March until April the 2nd, then Easter and Lent services going on. You can hit up the Garrison social media site for updates. And also the register for the 2015 Camp Zama Cherry Blossom Festival Fun Run and Walk, which will be open until March 30th. Is that all? Get about that right?
Yes, it is. Good job.
All right.
At least you're not busy down there at Zama.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Oh, ma'am, is there anything else that you'd like to add at this time?
Just like to say, March is the month of change. The weather's changing from colder temperatures from the winter to much cooler temperatures of the springtime. March is also nationally recognized as Women's History Month. It is time to honor and celebrate women and how they impacted our American history, as well as our military history. Although it's not quite yet spring, as always, let's encourage one another to get out and enjoy this beautiful country safely. There are so many things to do here in Japan. To our newcomers, the fastest way to get the latest news and information about the events happening here around Camp Zama and Sagamihara Family Housing Area is to connect to the Garrison social media networks, such as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Flickr. Also, stop by the MWR's Morale, Welfare, and Recreation's Outdoor Recreation for their latest information about the trips and travel.
Absolutely. And, Chief, you have anything you wanted to say, Sergeant Major Dumont?
I would just like to say thanks for the visit that we were able to do with Siak Battaglia when he came down there. I was very impressed with the soldiers and the service members that are there at Camp Zama. And, you know, we were only there for a short time. I think it was about 3 or 4 hours. But he kept talking about that for the rest of the trip that he was here, and how your bilateral relationships with the Ground Self-Defense Force and just the things you were doing down there are just phenomenal work. So thanks to your soldiers and the other service members that are assigned there.
Thank you. It takes a team.